to another episode of Inspire Careers Spotlight on Careers, the video series here from Inspire Careers that focuses on information in the career space for today's working professionals, helping them access information and educating people on what's out there to help them advance in their careers. And today I'm really excited to welcome my guest, Lynn Alexander. Lynn is the Talent Acquisition Coordinator at M&T Bank. Prior to joining M&T, Lynn was the Event Planning Manager at the Hyatt Regency Buffalo, and she enjoyed a very successful and distinguished career in hospitality. But we're here today to talk about Lynn, about her second act career, about what happens after that job goes away because of COVID. So let's talk to Lynn a little bit and find out about her success story. Welcome, Lynn.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Thrilled to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you. And you know, when we talk about success, I was thinking about maybe for this video series, we should call it Spotlight on Success, because that's exactly what we're talking about today. So Lynn, I've introduced you, but why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and your history and kind of what got you to this point relative to COVID and how it impacted your job?
Well, thank you again, Kathy. Certainly. I've had a long career in the hospitality industry, went to school for hospitality. I often say I was in a hospitality household. My dad worked for the airlines. My sister was a travel agent. So it's kind of in my blood. Spent many years in hotels, working front office operations, sales, dabbled a little bit in food and beverage, and also was a meeting planner for some small organizations. So I got to see the other side of hospitality. Got a little burned out, so then I took some time and did some database work and did some fundraising again for some nonprofits, but had that fever and got back into hospitality. And previously, most recent was at the Hyatt Regency. As you said, I was an event planning manager. It truly was my dream job. I went to their opening with my mother, and I recall saying to her at that time, we had a little bit of family history there. My aunt and uncle actually worked in that building since it was an office complex. And I said to Mom, I'm gonna work here someday. And that happened. So it truly was my dream job. Thrilled to be in the building doing the work that I love to do. And of course, COVID hit. And we remained cautiously optimistic that we would continue to keep our operations slim that they may be, but was hopeful. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case. There were some other circumstances, I say beyond our control, and the hotel closed. So it was a huge, huge loss for me personally with what I had there, but had to go through that grieving process. And it was very difficult.
Yeah, and Lynn, you know, I've been there too. I mean, I had years ago that I had the best job in the whole world, I felt like, and the business I worked for closed as well. So many of us go through this, but I think what's happened here is this is a whole different level because it happened so unexpectedly because of COVID, and things happen so quickly, right? And that's why I've asked you to join us here today, because there are so many people that may have lost their jobs back in March and in April, or through this second wave. I know there was kind of another surge of people losing their jobs, and people are disheartened and people are frustrated and they're scared in many cases as well. So you were kind enough to come on here and to share your story so that people can understand the steps that you took and try to learn from you, but importantly, try to feel that energy and that hope that their next opportunity is right around the corner. So I guess my first question really is, Lynn, when you then started to say, okay, I've gone through this grieving, you know, and I have to figure out what to do, did you plan to get another job in hospitality, or did you say, you know what, I'm ready to try something different? Kind of what was your mindset?
Well, I went for what I was comfortable with, and that was hospitality. Figured, hey, why not? I'm good at it. I know I was good at it, could hit the ground running, contribute immediately, you know, no downtime. So I went, again, what I was comfortable with and started applying. And just whatever from the hospitality industry overall. But I quickly realized this job search was going to be different than in other job searches. And that wasn't happening. So I was getting, I'll be very frank, very disheartened. I'm like, why wouldn't someone want to hire me with all my hospitality experience? But that's what was occurring. So again, going through being disheartened after going through a loss was extremely difficult.
So how did you keep your spirits up? I mean, it didn't happen overnight, and we're going to get to the part of the success of your story, but, there were some really down times, and, you had gone through the summer months. I know we had talked several times about what was happening. How did you keep your spirits up? How did you keep that mindset looking forward? It's very easy for us to get caught in that cycle of devaluing ourselves and getting immersed in sometimes self-pity, but, in saying that nobody sees my value. So how did you keep your spirits up, Lynn?
Well, of course, I initially had reached out to my core network, colleagues I had worked with, and also, other clients I'd worked with to let them know I was looking. Certainly, they were a huge, huge support. They did what they could to help me, emotionally, and certainly help with the search. But again, everybody was in that same situation. So I realized I had to expand and do something different, which was unsettling, and had to step outside of my comfort level. Started initially, I'm a gardener, so I was outside gardening and just working through, again, that grieving and like, what am I going to do? Where do I go? And of course, I reached out to you. I say, being a professional, I didn't know what to do, because it was such a different job search than in times past. And I had some friends that had some success working for you, and figured I've got to start doing something different. And again, it was very uncomfortable, but I had to do it. So I reached out to Kathy. She had given me some tools, and I had to figure out which of those tools I wanted to start with. There are a lot of tools out there, different things, and I didn't want to overwhelm myself too much too quick, but did some self-examining, which I hadn't done in many, many years. And it was good. It was good, but it was hard. It was a hard road kind of go down, and reaching out and just looking at different tools. Initially started with gratitude, practicing gratitude. That was easy. It's all around us. It's, being grateful for the day, grateful for sunshine, that you have a car that runs, that stays, no maintenance. It's having food on the table, and you forget that. So I started with that, and then gradually built up from there through, some of your classes along with Rob, and reached out to different people, experiencing different things. And that was extremely, extremely helpful.
So when would you say the turning point came? When did things start to change for you? That energy that you started applying for jobs and starting getting some interviews. When did that all happen?
Truly when I started doing some self-examining, realized, while I thought I had grieved for my job and going through all that, I truly hadn't, and needed to see myself in a different spot. And again, that's difficult to do. I've always been comfortable with hospitality, and I had to take those blinders off and look elsewhere. So once I started looking and really taking that deep dive, things started to change. What did that new job look like? Where was it? What were the hours? How was I going to be dressing? Was it casual? Was it all of those factors we think about in job searching, and as well, taking my foot out of management. I've been in management for many years, and said, hey, why not? Let's look at hourly. There's things out there. What do I have to lose? I needed to start getting some experience in doing interviews again, in different industries. So that's exactly what I did.
You raise a great point, talking about making that list of what that next job would look like for you. What kind of hours do you want to work? What kind of companies do you want to work for? What type of industries? And really, if you've made your mind up that you are willing to make a shift, the world's open to you, right?
Right.
But I think the other thing that I know that you did was really taking stock of your transferable skills, because that's where the success is in terms of the hard piece of the job search, right? Saying, well, you had management, you had people skills, you did some HR, you did high profile events, relationship management, vendor relations. I mean, the list goes on and on. And those skills are transferable to other industries. And that's, I think, a very key piece that people need to tap into as well. And when you talk about that mindset, and I know the kind of work that you did with gratitude, we had talked about it many times. And I say it all the time, and I can't say it enough. And anybody that's watching this that is going, oh, hooey, you know, they're missing the boat, is that job search success starts in the head. And having your mindset focused on gratitude and focused on the future is so critically important. But you did make that statement, and I understand it completely. You know, we have to grieve. If you just stuff it down and, you know, you put that out of your mind and you jump right into the search again, you've missed that opportunity to heal. And that's so much of been a part of your journey too, hasn't it, Lynn?
It certainly has. As I said, I took the time for myself, which I didn't realize was a huge piece of job searching. You know, it was reflective in my interviewing skills, you know, how I was writing my cover letters. That all is reflected in that. And I really didn't realize to what extent until I took that time for myself. And once I stepped back to do that, which again is very uncomfortable. It's not something I was used to doing. But again, I did it and started, as you said, with gratitude. And it's like, this is, you know, really, these little things are really going to make a difference, but they did. And then other tools that you had given me with the vision board, I visioned myself in a desk job, which was very different again. But I also did other visions that I had for myself to say, yes, these still can happen. They can still happen for me with whatever job I do get. I still have dreams and goals. And to lay it all out, it's like, this can truly happen. I mean, that visualization is huge.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And, you know, I talk about that a lot, and I'm so glad that you mentioned that tool. People need to think about the job that they want, and you can create it for yourself in your mind. And people say, what? That's, you know, I'm not creating my own job, but you kind of are, because you're putting all of those pieces together. And those are the jobs that you're going to focus on getting. And I really want people that have been out of work a long time to understand that you still have choices. And that's what we're talking about today, is about making opportunities for yourself and not just backing yourself into a corner where you feel like you have to accept that first job. Although certainly it's everyone's personal decision about what their circumstances are for whatever job they take. And please know that nobody's going to judge you during this time for any job you take, whether you hold out for the dream position that you wanted, or you feel that you need to take a job that, you know, at another time you wouldn't have even considered, because you have to pay your bills. I mean, this is just a different time. So give yourself some grace, you know, for anybody that's watching this as well. But try to take away some of the things that Lynn is talking about and maybe apply those to your search if you haven't done them, to do something different. So tell us about your new job. Tell us how that came about.
Well, thanks. M&T has been one of my top 5 companies. I had applied with them prior, certainly well aware of this area and across their footprint in other areas as well. And a job, again, came available. It was a temporary job through a placement agency. And I'll quickly say the placement agency where I got the job from, they had actually reached out to me earlier in my search. They had found my resume and were impressed with my resume. So I kept in touch with my contact. And here again, it came full circle, because this job was through her. She reached out to me and said, are you interested? And I said, absolutely. It was in HR, one of the areas I had actually, you know, we had talked about that made sense for my transferable skills. It was in HR, working from home, which of course is a whole new world for me, but transitioning as well. And enjoying that transition. So what I do is working with the talent acquisition team in the career area through schools, helping to set up interviews for students that are looking for internships, coming through to M&T. This is their busy time, finishing out the fall semester as they get ramped up for the spring. And again, we're not sure what that spring is going to look like, but helping to set up those interviews, working with the team, with the recruiters, with the vice presidents, with everyone across the bank, which is, again, a great opportunity to learn more about the bank, their operations, how they fit with me and my culture and what I'm used to. So it's going very, very well. I'm thrilled to have that foot in the door to hopefully make it a permanent position.
That's excellent. So, we've talked a lot about kind of that whole journey that you've been on. And one of the first things that you mentioned earlier was networking, reaching out to your network. So that's really how this all came about, right? About talking to people. And that's an important point to make, is that people do get jobs from LinkedIn and Indeed and websites, but the reality is people hire people, and you need to talk to people. You need to talk to your network, reach out to people, even if you haven't spoken to them in a while. If you haven't prepared for that, today's the day. And don't be afraid to do that. But overall, Lynn, what kind of advice would you give to those people that are still frustrated and disheartened and haven't found that job yet, haven't landed that success? What would you tell them to do?
Well, I'll go back to what I said earlier. Look truly within yourself. It may sound hokey and really this little simple steps, but it works. And again, it started with me with being grateful, practicing gratitude every day. I come up with 5 things I'm grateful for every day. Everybody kind of has their process, but you really find out how lucky we really are. There's a lot of, I say, ugliness in the world, a lot of, negative things out there, but there are that many more positive things out there, and you need to focus on that, because that really changes your mindset to get you through the day. That would be number 1. Number 2 is to try something new for yourself. It's all about yourself and how you're working through this, whether it's learning to meditate, is it that vision board, is it taking time, 5 minutes to exercise, just something different for yourself. It will make a world of difference. And I'm going to sneak in a third one and say, truly get, I say, professional help with that search, because it is a different world. It is a different search than what we were used to in the past. And you meet great people along the way, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you've given a lot of people things to think about. And I guess the other thing that I would say is, I can imagine that there are people watching this that say, I've done all of that. I've done all of that, and I still haven't had the success. And I would say, take a different spin on it. So if you are practicing gratitude, step it up a notch. And if you're not writing down the gratitude, try writing it, potentially writing it and relooking at it, sharing it with your spouse, doing it as a family. Potentially that might change the energy around it as well. It is a tough time. The holidays are a very tough time for people going through this right now. And when I asked Lynn to join me on my Spotlight on Careers, I had asked her because she was so full of energy, and she had done all of these steps, and I was so pleased to have been on this journey with her and watched her succeed. And when I asked her, she was so anxious to be able to give back and to be able to share her story of success. So I think the other thing that I would offer is, if anybody has any questions about this, please feel free to either drop the questions in the comment section, and Lynn or I will answer them. Lynn is on LinkedIn, and I'll have her information. I'll put your URL, if you don't mind, Lynn, so people can reach out to you and message there.
Happy to help.
Right. So consider that, it's part of joining someone else's network. If you haven't met Lynn before and she's not part of your network, invite her into your network. So it's these little things that, when you surround yourself with other people that have been successful, that energy may transfer to you, and you may learn something new as well.
Absolutely. Happy to assist. And again, it's that giving back that keeps everybody motivated, and happy to offer any other advice I can to anybody out there still searching. It takes a little time, but you'll get there. You'll get there.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you for joining us today and sharing your story. I appreciate this, and I know that our viewers have appreciated it as well. So Merry Christmas to you, Lynn. Enjoy your holidays. Please, anyone watching this, feel free again to reach out to us. We are here to help, to answer questions. And if you don't do anything else, like when you're leaving this video, think about doing something different. That's the name of the game, right, Lynn?
Oh, absolutely. Step out of that comfort zone. You really have to do it. It's not easy, but you can do it. You certainly can.
All right, and we will leave it at that. Thank you again, Lynn. Much success in your new role. Happy holidays and Happy New Year to you.
Same to you, Kathy. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.